Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
Well, North Korea is saying they're going to detonate a hydrogen bomb above ground somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, just begging to be destroyed. And Trump is announcing new sanctions as this crisis goes stratospheric and possibly thermonuclear. Here is the president's announcement earlier today.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'll leave it. I'll just get this one. Today I'm announcing a new executive order I just signed that significantly expands our authorities to target individuals, companies, financial institutions that finance and facilitate trade with North Korea. As I outlined at my address to the United Nations General Assembly, North Korea's nuclear weapons and missile development is a grave threat to peace and security in our world, and it is unacceptable that others financially support this criminal rogue regime. The brutal North Korean regime does not respect its own citizens or the sovereignty of other nations. Our new executive order will cut off sources of revenue that fund North Korea's efforts to develop the deadliest weapons known to humankind. The order enhances the Treasury Department's authorities to target any individual or entity that conducts significant trade in goods, services, or technology with North Korea. And I'm very proud to tell you that, as you may have just heard moments ago, China, their central bank, has told their other banks, that's a massive banking system, to immediately stop doing business with North Korea. This just happened. It's just reported. In addition to everything else, what we will do is identify new industries, including textiles, fishing, information technology, and manufacturing, that the Treasury Department can target with strong sanctions. And Secretary Mnuchin is representing the Treasury Department. He's here today to prevent sanctions evasion. The order also includes measures designed to disrupt critical North Korean shipping and trade networks. For much too long, North Korea has been allowed to abuse the international financial system to facilitate funding for its nuclear weapons and missile programs. The United States has had representatives working on this problem for over 25 years. They have done nothing. That's why we're in the problem that we're in today, in addition to, frankly, other countries not doing what they should have done. Tolerance for this disgraceful practice must end now. Our new order will give the Treasury Department the discretion to sanction any foreign bank that knowingly conducts or facilitates significant transactions tied to trade with North Korea. And again, I want to just say and thank President Xi of China for the very bold move he made today. That was a somewhat unexpected move, and we appreciate it. New authority in this area applies to any activity that occurs following my signature on the executive order, which I have actually just signed. Foreign banks will face a clear choice: do business with the United States or facilitate trade with the lawless regime in North Korea, and they won't have so much trade. This new order provides us with powerful new tools, but I want to be clear, the order targets only one country, and that country is North Korea. The regime can no longer count on others to facilitate its trade and banking activities. Many countries are working with
Ladies and gentlemen, again, that's excerpts of a press conference last night. There's been another one today as well we'll have for you. It's all coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday. Hard to believe it's already the 22nd day of September 2017. And we live in just an incredibly bizarre world. I've talked a lot about this. And even though North Korea threatening to test a hydrogen bomb above ground on an unnamed Pacific island, even though that is a real hallmark of World War III and the possible destruction of our planet, the underlying cause of it is evil. And 22 years ago on air, I didn't talk like that. 10 years ago on air, I didn't do that. But the more research I do, you just run into Satanists and pedophiles every time. It's the same thing from China to Russia to the United States to Mexico. It's the same thing powering the drug cartels in Mexico, Satanism. They're public about it. It's the same thing powering the Vatican. It's the same thing powering much of the CIA. It is a bunch of weak scum trying to play God and trying to run our lives. And I've talked about how, with relish, with extreme enjoyment, with raptured delight, all over Europe, they're taking Protestant and Catholic and Orthodox churches that in many cases governments seize. They take them, saying we're taking away your tax exemption, and they house Muslims in them. And then they have Islamic art displays and bring the school children there to Islamify them. They don't take school children to churches and teach them about Christ. They take them to Muslim churches. That is, churches that have been converted to Islamic brainwashing bases. Without looking, I have a stack of this today that just shows up in my stack as the crew prints basically all the front page articles of more than 10 major news sites a day. Most of the news, when I come in and thumb through it, I've already looked at it, seen it. But constantly, there's stuff I hadn't seen, just piles of it. And then you get banning outdoor Oktoberfest in Germany. Then in Malaysia, they ban Beer Fest because the Muslims will kill you. But that's okay because you go out to a liberal demonstration, they're handing hijabs out to women to wear them in solidarity and telling us how Islam is the best thing in the world when it's 180 degrees the opposite of our Western culture. And I've got a stack of news here. We're in court in the U.S. and Canada and Europe. Muslims won't even stand up when they've attacked, stabbed, robbed, killed people. But it's gotten so bad, the Muslim refugees working for Uber in London, that they've banned Uber now because of hundreds of sexual assaults. And I've got more. Same thing here in the U.S. Why is this happening? Because it is the culture of Islam that if you're not wearing a hood over your head, you're fair game to be raped in Pakistan or Saudi Arabia or in Libya now that it's been liberated from Gaddafi that, you know, basically banned the hijab. Don't worry, he's gone now, and the jihadis are in, and they have these women in bondage. And there's the left telling you how great it is and sending schooner boats across every hour to ferry people into Italy. 80+%. I've seen the videos, more like 100% military-age men. It is a takeover. We've been taught to be totally wide open, to have no immune system, politically or culturally or spiritually, and now we're being assaulted by authoritarianism based on a religious system so vicious, so dangerous, so unstable, that it wrecks every country that's 100% Muslim. They can't stop killing each other. Because it's always the most radical who wants to identify themselves to separate themselves from the other Muslims, so it gets more radical, and it moves the peg in the Overton window so far into extremism that it just goes into insanity. Selling 5-year-old girls into sex slavery. 100+ men raping a 7-year-old girl till she died in Syria. Eating priest hearts on television. Having 7-year-old boys go and execute tied-up prisoners. That's all the stuff they're doing. They're proud of it. So I have a stack of news where they're desecrating churches all over Europe, turning them into Islamic centers, government-funded, where they take school children to learn about bombs and the hijab and actually tell them it's good. Just like the police chief last week, a major city in Finland, said, we're going to put terrorists in schools. They put adults in high schools. They call them little boys. Like the two guys that were reported in the bombing last week in London. Oh, one was 21, one was 18. They were called boys, refugees that came in the last 2 years and were living with an old couple, and they call them their little boys. They're little jihadis that blow up the train. And then the police chief says, quote, we're going to put terrorists in classes because terrorists can teach us multiculturalism. That's a quote. You can't make this up. And from Indonesia, we're showing footage of that right now, to Canada, the takeover's happening. And the footage we've got on screen is the Philippines. So why do I mention that? Because to the globalists, to the pedophile armies, they love Islam because it's right there in the Quran that you can marry a 9-year-old girl. It's right there that you can... Gay sex is illegal between two adult men. But if you're an adult man and it's a boy, oh, then it's okay. So pedophilia is actually enshrined. And that's why the left loves it. They're going for it because they are now the pedophile, Satanist, degenerate party. They go to their events. They will tell you. They will publish in major leftist publications drooling, disgusting, fat slobs showing videos of 5-year-old girls dancing, telling you how much they want to have sex with them. You say, why would they do that? Because they want to throw it in your face and rub it in your face. Just like they want to give nuclear weapons and missiles to North Korea. It's satanic. Look at the demon eyes on that guy. They all got the same eyes. Now, why did I mention that? It looks like It the Clown, literally. Notice that. It's It the Clown right there. They always look like that. Now, this article is by Shepard Ambulance. We want to get on the show. Great Infowars.com reporter. Illuminati-themed fashion show held at London Catholic Church. And, of course, the church went along with it. This is liberal. Just like the Pope said this year, it disgusted him to hear about Europe's Christian roots. He says, let in the Muslims. Merge with it. And now they have fashion shows of people dressed up the way you dress up for a satanic orgy, right out of Eyes Wide Shut. It's the accoutrement that I will guarantee you is used probably in that church. You know what they do in the Canadian Parliament? I've actually had members of the Parliament on. It's come out in major publications that they built the Canadian Parliament in Ottawa to carry out satanic rituals. Oh, yes. And so now their ultimate fun is to do it in a church. But now, I mean, this itself is an act of Satanism to carry out a satanic ritual in a church. The only thing better is to kill a child. And I'm not going to get into what they do on the altars, but they eat crap, everything else, to degrade God's temple, to bring in the demons, to open the gates. Whether you believe in Satan or not, Satan believes in you, and these people believe in Satan. And you better believe that it's coming out the former prime ministers and others on a routine basis have little orphan girls brought into their offices. They lay the plastic out on the floor, and they slit those little girls' throats and those little boys' throats. And a lot of the elites don't even touch the body. They just pleasure themselves while the child flops around like a fish out of water, gasping for air. So you just remember that, and you remember that real good, what you're signing on to right now. It's up on drudgereport.com right now. Parental discretion is advised, even though we're blurring these images. By the way, I'm the only person in the last 18 years to interview Vivian Kubrick, who was the only member of his family that worked on the films. Before he died, she was basically co-director, but she won't brag and say that. But I've talked to folks in Hollywood. She did the music on Full Metal Jacket, a lot of other stuff. And she told me the secrets of that, and her dad was not involved in it. But obviously her dad was told what was going on in Hollywood. And I know more. But I was told it in confidence, and so I just can't tell you. But that is Vivian Kubrick. That is Stanley Kubrick's daughter. And she was his protege. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, with another Satanist with nuclear weapons, Kim Jong-un, given the sword of death by the Clintons. Stay with us. I'm going to get more into the article up on newswars.com and infowars.com. Illuminati-themed fashion show held at London Catholic Church. This went up late last night. It's already rolled off the main page of Infowars.com. The biggest place and easiest place to find is DrudgeReport.com. But I'm going to ask the guys to put that back to the top of Infowars.com because it is unbelievable. This is a full-out satanic ritual with all the proper equipment, is what the Satanists call it, in your face, disguised as a fashion show in a lesser magic action to rub the blasphemy in your face. And only the Christians are to be barred from the internet. Only the Christians are to be persecuted. The Islamicists will be held up on the highest pedestal. Now that's in the West. The Muslims will also be used as the great weapon in India against the Hindus and the Buddhists, who they are allowed to slaughter at leisure with enjoyment. And the media also basically agrees to that and says that's a wonderful thing. It's truly amazing. They estimate 140+ million Hindus alone have been murdered by Muslims just in India in the last 1,000 years. And then you look at all the other places that were Buddhist, all over the Pacific. No, no, no. You convert or you, what? You die. And now the few areas where they've let the Muslims in that were still Christian or Buddhist in the Pacific are now being stabbed and bombed and shot and killed, from the Philippines to Malaysia. And the governments are agreeing. They're saying, that's right, no more beer. We're going to do what the Muslims say. We're going to bend over. We're going to follow their orders. Because if you don't, you're hateful. Isn't that nice? Good, 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 good. So that's all coming up. You know, I have a headline out there today on one of our live streams. Mainstream media ask if tomorrow is going to be the end of the world. And there's such fake news that when I cover this, they're going to say I'm saying this. Because it's okay for them to cover it, but not for us to cover it. And I'm saying it's pure bull. But usually when you got one of these churches or groups saying the end of the world is on a date, they don't have the atmosphere we have of all these disasters and threats of nuclear war and craziness going on with the backdrop. But I'm saying we're still going to be here tomorrow. But coming up, the next segment, I'll get to North Korea. The man whose biblical doomsday claim has some nervously eyeing September 23rd. And it's the same old stuff. You know, the Nibiru's going to get us. Well, where's this runaway planet? We know there's extra planets in the Kuiper Belt. We know some of them have elliptical orbits and do come through. The ancients all tracked them. We know they can come pretty close to the Earth and have caused earthquakes and things before. We know asteroids so big have hit the Earth, you can consider them to be planetoids. So I'm not saying this stuff doesn't happen. But if it was coming in tomorrow, baby, it looked like the moon by now. I've been hearing for 22 years on air that Nibiru and Planet Possum is going to come kill us next week. And every time I report, oh, look, there really is a bunch of Planet X's, and they do have elliptical orbits, and they have come by the Earth before. And the media goes, look, Jones says we're all dead. No, that's not. You're the ones reporting on that. I'm reporting on the rest of the story. The man whose biblical doomsday claim has some nervously eyeing September 23rd. We'll tell you about him straight away when we come back. David Mead, we ought to get him on. I bet tomorrow's his big day. It's the last day on Earth. We should have him on. The self-described specialist in research and investigations has earned a fair amount of publicity online for predicting the catastrophic events would soon befall the Earth. And now maybe he thinks he's right. Maybe he's onto something. I mean, I'm not saying that. I don't think the guy's a liar. I think he just is wrong because I got 4 children. I sure hope he's wrong. But you do have North Korea threatening nuclear war tomorrow. That's coming up next. And you do have all these storms and earthquakes from Japan to Mexico that are record level. Among his claims, on Saturday, September 23rd, a constellation, a sign prophesied in the book of Revelation, would reveal itself in the skies over Jerusalem. So the beginning of the end of the world as we know it. So he's not specifically, again, saying it's ending tomorrow, the media is spinning, but it signals the chain of events. Maybe we should get Meade on tomorrow, because he's saying that signals the beginning of the chain reaction, the countdown, the final countdown to Armageddon, the first big domino to fall. Stay with us. We are back live. Kim Jong-un threatens to tame, quote, mentally deranged Trump with fire. Many leftist organizations in the United States have praised this. They're actually defending North Korea as they point loaded missiles at Japan, at South Korea, and others, and threaten preemptive nuclear war. And then it's Donald Trump and America that is saber-rattling, according to our controlled corporate press. Whatever Trump might have expected, he will face results beyond his expectations. And this from Kim Jong-un, who never saw a buffet that he wouldn't scarf down immediately. Listen to him trying to sound like he's a Japanese samurai. Jong, before the fall of the sons of Arius and the seas gulfing Atlantis, there was a time of great adventure. And onto this plain strode Kim Jong-un, the magnificent, destined to rule the world and wear the crystal crown of Atalonia. It is I, your chronicler, alone, who will tell you of the days of great adventure. Can you pull up John Belushi as the samurai? When he'd run around with the samurai sword, like, 백전백승 강대성의 상징 북한과 국민의 영원한 위대한 김일성 동지와 위대한 김정일 동지께 숭고한 경의와 전당 정자 홍보해라 온갖 위협과 온갖 징모통묘초 패패가 민족 총진구를 과감히 전개해 나가고 있는 자오만 투쟁 속에서 Hold on, stop Kim Jong-un. And I'm translating here from Korean into Japanese for you. Very, very similar language. Hold on. We're not going back to it yet. Let me show you actual footage of a negotiation with Kim Jong-un and our ambassador just 1 week ago. A little bit grainy footage from a pen camera, but here it is.
I think you could break a 20.
And now, another episode of...
Hit pause. I've already thought about this years ago, but I'm going to have a new bit way better than Jimmy Kimmel's and stuff about North Korean dictator. Go get me a kimono. Get me a samurai sword now. Because I'm going to start having daily press briefings from Kim Jong-un. I'm sorry. I've hit the point of gallows humor with the threat of nuclear war, just days away possibly. Well, the threat's here. Having a nuclear war could happen any time. And so at this point, I'm just going to have some fun. Because can we back out on camera 5? I want to show folks something that a lot of people online have pointed out looks like a Pink Floyd album cover, but it's so crazier, it's even more powerful. It's Kim Jong-un a month ago watching one of the missile tests. He shot right over Japan. And again, this is a literal dictator that grew up in Switzerland and has never had a day's work in his life, and literally is a dictator over a bunch of poor slaves who he's got brainwashed into a death cult. And he's now threatening to destroy the United States, which is asinine. The only problem is China more and more is coming in on their side, which shows how we've been completely sold out to China, giving them all our jobs. They oppress their own people. It's a horrible communist dictatorship, but our own elites wanted to control populations. So let's go back to more of Kim Jong-un's, and everybody wants that. Let's go back to more of Kim Jong-un's speech threatening Donald Trump. Here it is.
온 나라 전체의 당원들 그리고 이 민군 장병들과 인민들의 존중과 여러 같은 경모의 마음을 담아 조선노동당의 창건자
He's saying, I actually believe that trannies are cool. I myself have no wee-wee.
우리 당과 인민의 영원한
But I like to act like a man, but is my hair not beautiful?
위대한 김정일 동지께 가장 숭고한
People say I'm fat. This is not true. I am very manly. Oh. Yes, I can barely walk, but it doesn't matter. I can talk in a fake deep voice like this. 슝기 곰푸쿠 두카카. We are the most oppressive, pathetic scum on earth. We are the example of big government being a nightmare cancer. I know globalists inside America gave me the weapons and are backing me up to try to embarrass Trump. They intend to have the military not strike us, so we know we can thumb our noses. We believe we have back channels to discredit America. I'm a pathetic idiot. Idiot liberals like to come and pay to come here and do tourism to slave area, makes them feel better than other people. That's why we will win, because we have lots of scum like you who will help us, who want to oppress your own people. I am a giant gopher-like vampire. All right, I'm going to stop now. I got to get serious. Let's get back to the real world, which is about what I was just saying. Kim Jong-un threatens to tame mentally deranged Trump with fire. Whatever Trump might have expected, he will face results beyond his expectation. This is how Kim Jong-un would sound if he was speaking English, because he's so powerful. Indeed. A powerful Jedi who I see has constructed a new gopher mask. But beneath the mask of the obese gopher is the cunning guile of a master assassin, a ninja of untold skill, Kim Jong-il, which translates into swallower of souls. Because that's Satanism, is to put a deformed, evil, little ugly vampire up on top of something with a whole country bowing and worshiping and scraping on their bellies. That's Satanism. Overturning the family, overturning God, overturning prosperity, and grinding the human soul into the dirt with a big dirty heel with a fat little goblin on top of you, smiling down. Yes, liberal. So, because when you talk about Kim Jong-un, you're talking about power. So let me speak in a powerful voice. Kim Jong-un, this is him speaking. Kim Jong-un threatens to tame mentally deranged Trump with fire. Whatever Trump might have expected, he will face results beyond his expectation. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has threatened U.S. President Donald Trump with fire in a response to the president's speech at the United Nations this week. In a rare televised speech Friday, Kim labeled the maiden UN address as rude nonsense and accused Trump of being mentally deranged for threatening to destroy North Korea. The the mentally deranged behavior of the U.S. president, openly expression on the UN arena, was the unethical will to totally destroy a sovereign state beyond the boundaries of threats of regime change or overturn of social systems, makes even those with normal thinking faulty. Think about discretion and compromise, Kim said, according to state-run media outlet Korean Central News Agency, KCNA. This guy really sounds powerful. Continuing, just look at him. Kim, who also is called the president a rogue and a gangster, stated that Trump's threats against the North Korean capital legitimize the North Koreans' pursuit of advanced nuclear weapons. His remarks, this is the great dear leader's speech, the man who gives the sun, the birds to sing, the grass to grow. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of his, sorry, back to him. His remarks, which describe the U.S. option through straightforward expression of his will, have convinced me, rather than frightening or stopping me, that the path I choose is correct, and that it is the one I have to follow to the last, Kim added. Now that Trump has denied the existence and insulted me, the great and powerful Oz, now that Trump has denied the existence of and insulted me and my country in front of the eyes of the world and made the most fiercest declarations of war in the history that we would destroy DPRK, we will consider with seriousness exercising of corresponding the highest level of hardline countermeasures in history. The North Korean leader ended his speech by threatening to tame Trump with fire. And then it goes on from there. I will surely, here's his real mic. I will surely and definitely tame the mentally deranged U.S. daughter with fire. Yeah, he's a real daughter. You can hardly walk, you twerp. Trump at 71 could physically defeat 50 Kim Jong-uns in battle axe combat, I bet. He'd probably, a few of them hacking his legs, and the president might bleed to death later, but I predict that Trump could defeat Kim Jong-un and 49 of his clones in a arena. In fact, he could easily do it if they were attacking one at a time. But I believe Trump at 71 could slay 50 baby goblins. Satan hemorrhoid protuberances. I will surely, I'm sorry, back to the great and powerful laws. I will surely and definitely tame the mentally deranged U.S. daughter with fire, Kim said. You and your detested Americans, I smelled you when you came in here. He says, Trump on Tuesday stated that the U.S. would totally destroy North Korea if the North placed ourselves or our allies in danger. The U.S. has great strength and patience, Trump said. If it's forced to defend ourselves, our allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. And that's what I've been saying militarily since the beginning of all this. The North, if you do strike them or counterstrike them with limited force, will destroy their neighbors and plunge the world economy into depression, and other wars will kick on. You've got to destroy them immediately if you do that. It's got to be done. With tactical nuclear weapons destroying the entire DMZ on their side, hitting all their other bunkers, military installations, command and control. You can't just let the ferrets run into their caves and then use shortwave radios, the big fat demon possums, to then order their starving zombie slaves who mean well but are just brainwashed into total mind control. So I thought instead of just normally covering the North Korean news, I would do that, because as soon as I saw that video of him and the way he talks, I'm the big man, oh, you will, but I will destroy you, in that tone of voice, when he doesn't even have a deep voice, just a fake, like a little 5-year-old acting like, I am the great and powerful Oz. Since he's doing that, I just thought I would make fun of him, because that's what communists and devil worshippers and filth bags hate more than anything. What happens if North Korea tests a hydrogen bomb over the Pacific? That's what he also says in here. They're getting ready to test one of those. Open air at an unnamed island or on a boat somewhere. I guess testing, sending one over to California and detonating it and vaporizing Los Angeles, which I know they blame on Trump. So that's all coming up. Meanwhile, Rob Reiner is running around with his paid actors saying that Trump is a Russian agent. And now Zuckerberg has announced, even Huffington Post gets it right and says they are the new Federal Elections Commission. They will block anything conservative, libertarian, nationalistic off their sites and call it political advertising if you criticize a Democrat. And so they are openly announcing all that. That's coming up. Because we are kicking their butts politically with the truth. They're the globalists. They're the people that have sold out America and the world. So they look at some foreign country that's also trying to get loose from the globalist, and they go, look, that's who secretly is running all this. No, everyone hates you. And you sociopaths like Rob Reiner, meathead, literal meathead, and the rest of it, are the real enemies of this country, and everybody who's thinking knows it. And it's time to go from disdaining you to absolutely never talking to you, watching you, supporting you, cutting the bloodstream off from you, and letting you vampires wander off into the bush somewhere. You're sick and you're a joke. Just like Hillary the sociopath cannot blame anybody but herself, but she keeps doing it. We've got a powerful report with Paul Watson coming up. Before I go any further, though, September's preparedness month. I don't believe the end of the world's around the corner, but if there is a big war, if there is a big depression, if they kill Trump, if there is civil unrest, if there is more big earthquakes, I mean, you look at stuff, no doubt we're entering a major time of change. And instead of doubling prices like Amazon and others have done for water filters and storable food, the most I can go down to the filters is 30% off regular price. That's huge. We're making like 20, 30, 40 bucks depending on the filter. We need to make more money than that, but we're doing this. The storable food is almost a loss leader. We're extending this because of the earthquakes and all the rest of the stuff that's hitting. I'm just cutting it, and they've allowed us to with promo code READY. It's 50% off. 50% off the already low price with promo code READY. InfoWarsStore.com, high quality My Patriot, private labeled. That's how we get around the little contract rules. They let us do it with promo code READY. Private labeled as InfoWars Select, but they slap the stickers on it at the factory, at the facilities in Utah. Super high quality, and ship it out to you. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. And as I said, we've had a lot of stuff going on here. A lot of things happening. Been very, very busy, Beaver. A lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff, too. So the point is, please know that the Super Blue 50% off the toothpaste and mouthwash, fluoride-free, that's about to end. 50% off Emerson Essentials, that's got to end. I just haven't come up with new specials yet. I will extend into next week the Caveman specials, InfoWarsStore.com, but these specials are going to end probably today. The food will continue for a few more days, but please support us. Waging war on corruption, Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central. I'll be hosting a little bit into the fourth hour today, but then Matt Dubier, an amazing researcher and the owner of a powerful Chicago radio station that's been carrying us for 6-7 years, is going to be hosting. We're working with something very exciting with Matt that he's not ready to announce yet. But I'm looking forward to that. The animating contest of liberty. Kicking it up a notch in the face of all the censorship and garbage. But make no mistake, listeners and viewers, this is the battle for the Republic against authoritarian dirtbags. Why do you think they'd bring in 10 million Muslims? I thought it was 5 million from what I saw in the last 4 years to Europe. It's 10 million according to the UN refugee program. And the head of it says it's to get rid of white people. And you're like, well, I guess you're racist if you don't get rid of white people. No, that's racist to get rid of the white people or anybody else. It's called genocide. So they're pushing white genocide. Everybody from Ted Turner to that head vaccine lady out of the so-called Baptist school of Baylor. All of them saying white people are the problem, get rid of white people. And imbuing onto white people some special evil. And then it's weirdo white people pushing it. And why are they doing that? Because the globalists are all about numbers. They want to bring in outside forces, legitimize racism against whites, because whites are a minority, and then they want to be the whites that control the new majority. These are very, very diabolical people. And I ask my own family, who I know has given massive amounts of money to Baylor. Why? My grandmother lived like a pauper, and she had quite a bit of money from a little bit of West Texas tea, black gold. She just gave it all to Christian groups and Baylor. So Baylor can literally promote sexualizing children, transgenderism, and have professors saying white people need to all be killed. I vomit on Baylor. I vomit on that satanic organization. It's a den of devil worshipers, just like the Vatican. That's where they had the secret TPP agreement and the secret North American Union agreement. It's disgusting. And again, I ask everybody, both my grandmothers went to Baylor. They were at Baylor at the same time and knew each other. My grandmother, off and on, dated the HEB founder guy, Howard Butts. The point is that you go, oh, don't criticize my Baylor. And it's the same with all these colleges. You're the ones that let the scum take over your Christian universities and turn them into Satan factories. And again, I didn't mean to go off on Baylor. It's everything. It's everywhere. It's just unbelievable garbage. You know, they've still kept that professor up in NYU that says kill all the cops. Turns out he put out more tweets saying kill them. He's saying kill the cops, and the university's like, we like that. And you're like, this sounds crazy. Why? If they can have a satanic ceremony at high noon in a Catholic church in front of everybody and put it on national television, they're ruling you. If they can have 10 million refugees, 8+ million men, and have them everywhere raping en masse women to where Uber has to shut down because the Muslims are using it as rape wagons. The woman comes into the spider's nest, the door opens, she doesn't know it's a spider nest. She steps in, the guy locks the door, drives her into a garage, and 5 Muslims gang rape them. And hell, those are the lucky ones. A lot of women come up missing because the word is they like to cut up women and then sell them at their meat shops. Oh yeah, that's in the news. But it's okay, because it's liberal. Yeah, it's all liberal, and they're going to do a lot more of it, and you're going to love it, and you're going to take it, and you're going to beg for it.